Welcome to Snip Snip Boom, which is my entry into the 2026 Solitaire Print and Play contest. If you think you've already watched this video, it is very possible you've not because I'm re-recording this due to some changes in the game. So, what is this game? You have 6 turns to fill out 6 cards with dice without getting too many snips. You're going to place dice on these cards by alternately rolling your dice pool and then playing one die or a group of dice to a card. There's some restrictions on which dice or which places you can play to, and I'll talk about those as we play. And if you ever can't do that, if you ever roll your dice and you can't play a die, then you get a snip, which brings you closer to the end of the game. Alternatively, if you have finished placing dice and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to risk it anymore, you can finish your turn and go on to the progress phase, in which case you might earn some modules and do some other cool stuff. So let's go ahead and talk about how to set up the game. If you're just playing for the first time, you might want to hit this New Game Beginner button. It stacked those cards very cleverly, which is going to set you up with wire cards 1 through 6, and then modules 10 and 11. These cards are double-sided. One side has a wire, the other has a module. If you're a little bit more experienced, like me, who designed the game, that's actually a really easy setup. You can hit the New Game Hard or New Game Easy. The only difference is New Game Hard or New Game Easy is going to remove wires 13 through 15 when you're dealing them out here. As you saw, we didn't even get any, so, you know. Let's do that. And then we're going to choose some starting modules. It's picking them randomly. I would suggest you pick them yourself. I'm going to go ahead and do maybe 9 and 4. We'll do 9 and 5. Okay. So I have a set of 6 wire cards, and I have 2 modules. I start each turn by rolling my dice, so I'll go ahead and do that. Actually, this is a good example. If you happen to not roll any dice that match your modules, you're allowed to re-roll your dice pool as long as you haven't placed any dice for this turn. As you see, I didn't roll anything that matched my modules, so let's go ahead and use that rule to re-roll. And maybe I'll start by putting a 4 on this. Actually, no. If we're going to put anything, we'll put a 2 on this 9. This is going to give me an ability that I can use later in the turn, basically allowing me to re-roll up to 3 dice, then flip up to 3 dice. That might be useful. So after I play a die, as you saw I just did, whenever you play a die, you get to choose either re-roll your dice and keep going, or go to the progress phase. In this case, I said, I'm good. I'm going to keep re-rolling my dice. And now I'll choose another die to place. Where can I place my dice? I should have said this earlier. You can play it on any of your modules that don't have a die on them yet, or your leftmost unfilled card. So right now I can place things on my modules, well really only this module now, and on this card. And I can only play 1 die at a time with some exceptions. So let's go ahead and place a 4 there. And then I'm going to keep going. I'll re-roll my dice. I can end at any time, but the more I get done, you know, the better off I'll be. Let's go ahead and place this 3 here. Let's go ahead and place this 6 here. It seems likely that I should be able to get at least 1 more die played, so let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use this ability. So re-roll up to 3 dice, then flip up to 3 dice. So I'm going to re-roll 0 dice, and then flip this 5 to a 2. When it says flip, that means 1s and 6s exchange, 2s and 5s exchange, 3s and 4s exchange. So go ahead and place that 2. And what you see happened is I just finished that card. So if I wanted to keep going this turn, I could roll my die, and then I would be able to place either a 3 here or a 4 there. These have some equal signs, and I'll tell you what those mean on the next turn when they'll be more relevant. The thing is, that seems a little risky for me. I don't want to risk a 1 in 3 chance of not being able to get that. Because if I don't, I'm going to actually end up losing one of my modules as a snip. So let's pretend that I was reckless and I rolled this die. And let's pretend that I rolled something bad, like this, that I couldn't use. That would be a snip. What would happen is I would take one of my modules that doesn't have a die on it, and I'd move it to one of the snip parts on the timer card. Then I could choose to re-roll again, or I could, again, choose to go to the progress phase. It's your choice. But I didn't do that. That would have been a bad choice. So we'll just call it there, and we'll go on to the progress phase. In the progress phase, all of the wires that you filled, you're going to earn as modules. So I filled this wire out, so let's go ahead and take it as a module. Now this is a new ability that I can choose to use on future turns, and we get a die. Next, we're going to recall dice to pool. Sometimes I would do things with diffuse cubes, but since I filled out the whole card, that's not going to be relevant right now. So that's not relevant right now, and we will go ahead and advance timer and recall dice. So this is going to put all of my dice back in my dice pool and tick this timer down by 1. And now we keep going. So let's see what I want to do. I'm going to go ahead, place a couple 6s here. Oh, okay. So I need to tell you something. If you notice, these two squares are touching each other. That means that instead of placing dice one at a time, I have to place 2 dice on those 2 spaces at the same time. Since they have equal signs on them, that means those dice have to be equal to each other. So let's go ahead and place 2 6s there to fill out that spot. Let's go ahead and fill out the 3, I think. And then if we get doubles, we're looking good shape because we finished out this card. All right, so I actually got this card done pretty quickly. And now I can actually continue on to the next card if I want to, because I filled out this leftmost card. Now I'm allowed to do this next one, which you'll see is a little harder. I need to get a 3, 4, 5, but I also need to get 2 6s, which I got here earlier. But remember, this was just any pair of doubles. A pair of 6s is going to be a little harder. Okay, I got a 5, but let's go ahead and do this here. I'm going to place a 2 on this module, and the reason why I'm going to do that is I want to at least give myself the chance of being able to do something with these 6s, which would be cool if I could. Which I can. Great. So I'm going to now use this ability, re-roll up to 3 dice. I'm going to choose to re-roll none of my dice, and then flip up to 3 dice. I'm going to flip this 1 to a 6. I forget if I said this earlier, but when you flip dice, 1s turn to 6s and vice versa, 2s turn to 5s and vice versa, 3s turn to 4s and vice versa. So I was able to turn that 1 to a 6, and there we go. We got that there. No, that was a 6. Okay, and my dice pool's empty. So I didn't really find myself needing to stop early. I did a bunch of stuff, and that is good. So what happens next? We go to the progress phase. So I'm going to earn this card as a module as well. I'm going to earn this die, goes to my dice pool. This card hasn't been filled out yet. So when I get to the recall dice to pool, an extra thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to need to place these diffuse cubes on those dice. To represent that I actually did fill these out, it was just on a previous turn. So I'm going to place those there, hit the advance timer and recall dice. And now I have 4 turns left to get all this stuff done. Maybe easier said than done, although we're actually doing pretty good right now. So let's go ahead. One rule that will probably not be relevant for the rest of the game, if you really want to fill out a module first, and your initial roll doesn't match any of your modules, you're allowed to re-roll. Given that I have 4 different numbers here, it's almost impossible that this is not going to let me fill out at least one of them, but that's a rule to keep in mind, especially early game. So I have this roll, and let's see what we can do with it. Let's go ahead and do a 3 for actually. I'm going to do a 4, and the reason why I'm doing a 4 is because technically if I get a 4 later, I can at least place it on there. Let's go ahead and place a 3. It would have been nice to get a 5 also, but that's okay. 5. Okay, so I finished this card, and now we're starting wire 7. One thing that you might notice is, yes, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That could fill out this card all at once, but as you notice, you're only allowed to play 1 die or a group of connected dice at the same time. One thing I should notice about this card is that it has some arrows on it. So this means that the 1 needs to be filled in before the 2 and the 3, and the 2 and the 3 needs to be filled in before the 4 and the 5. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Okay, I didn't get a 2 and a 3, which means that now I'm going to be turning to my modules to see what I can do. And I actually don't have that many good choices. I'm going to go ahead and do the increase a die by 1. Oh, there's a 2 and a 3. And while I find it unlikely that I'm going to get a 4 and a 5 on this next roll, I'll at least go for it, and if not, it's almost certain that I'll be able to fill in one of these, right? Let's go ahead and see what happens. Okay. Actually, I can't fill in one of those, so you get to see me get my first snip. So since these dice were both too big, I can't play a 1, 2, or 4, and I also can't increase the die by 1 to let me play a 1, 2, or 4. I'm going to have to get a snip. And when we get a snip, what happens is I take one of my unfilled modules, usually the lowest numbered one, because that's the least powerful, and that's going to go next to my timer card. If I get 3 snips, that's the end of the game and I lose. So I could choose to roll again, but at this point that seems a little foolhardy. I don't want to get my snips that early. So let's end the diffuse phase there. I'm going to move on to the progress phase. Let's earn some modules. I earned this module. I'm going to need to put some diffuse cubes on these 3 to show that I got those. I'll advance timer and recall dice. Oh, earn this as a module. And let's get going. So I did get a 4 and a 5, which is wonderful. Let's go ahead and roll again. Okay, no 3s. Honestly, this roll was pretty bad, but I do have a 5, so let's go ahead and do that there. I am going to need a 3 before I can place on this thing. I got a 3, so let's use it. Got a 2. I very well might not be able to place those 3 1s this turn. That might be a little challenging. Okay, obviously I can't do it with that. And we'll wait for promotion. A very fun promotion. Have a blast online. Subscribe to Playing Cards IO Premium. Non-expiring rooms, ad-free games, disable edit mode, freeze. Oh, there's the promotion. Okay. So let's go ahead and see what I can play on. I forget if I rolled. I got distracted by the ad. I think I just played the 2. And if I didn't, then I'm cheating. Oh well. Actually, I think that was my roll. Can't do much with this. I'm going to go ahead and place this 4 here. Well, actually, I could get 2 1s at this point, but 2 1s is not 3 1s. Let's go ahead, yeah, and do this 4. That is enough for me to get it. So I will set a 6 to a 1 and place these 3 dice. Okay. So we're doing great, honestly. I don't need to be risky, but for the sake of it, let's do it. Because I have this module still available. Reroll all your dice. You may do this up to 2 additional times. And even if I don't get a 6, I am also okay if I get a 2. So I'm going to have a lot of rolls to let me get that. And even if I get a snip, that's okay. So let's go ahead and see what happens. So that was my roll. And now I'm going to use this module to reroll all my dice up up to basically 3 times. Once, and then I have 2 additional tries. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that was bad. So I am going to get another snip there. I was being a little foolhardy. And that's that. So I actually earned both of these as modules. I don't have any diffuse cubes to place, so let's go ahead and recall those. I earned this die, and I have 2 turns to try to fill out this. Whoops. I have 2 turns to try to fill out this last card, which is plenty of time. So let's go ahead and do that. That's not 4 4s, but let's go ahead and put this here so that I can change a couple 6s to 4s, or actually let's go ahead and put this here. If you can't tell, the higher number modules usually have better effects. So this one says increase or decrease a die by 1, then you may repeat this effect once. That seems pretty cool. That's no 4s, so that's not great, but we can go ahead and put this 5 here. That's also no 4s, but we're fine. Why are we fine? Because I'm going to use this to take a couple of 5s and decrease them to 4s. And then I'm going to use this to set up to 2 6s to any values. And then I'm going to turn them both to, you guessed it, 4s. So we'll do that, and voila, we are done. So we filled out the last card. We had a whole extra turn to spare, which is crazy. It usually doesn't go that well. So let me tell you what you could do if you got to this point and you won the game and you're like, wow, that game was super easy. I'm going to hit the new game, same cards, and what that's going to let me do is it's pretty easy to set back up the game that you had. So 1, 2, I think my starting modules were 5 and 9. So we also had 6, 7, 12. And what you could say is that was way too easy. I'm going to put back my starting modules and maybe start with something a little bit weaker. So maybe start with, what if we started with 3 and 4? That would be about as easy or as hard as I could make this challenge. And we could see what that does. So now my only abilities are decrease a die by 1 and flip a die. And that might get challenging. So that's a taste of how you play Snip, Snip, Boom. I hope that this showed you a little bit about how to play the game. I still encourage you to read the rules just in case there are some edge cases that didn't come up in this playthrough. But other than that, I hope that you enjoyed this and other games in the contest. Thanks for watching.